Dream Team? It's your boy Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with what is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you. Now, your boy definitely a believer here, but it be some Christians that be saying some just rude things, very rude, very cruel, very judgmental things. And I hate that we're human beings at the end of the day, Christian or not, religious or not, we shouldn't be judging each other. We should not be judging each other because we don't know what anyone else has went through. So let's jump into this. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media and Patreon, all up top. You want to subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you got to do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. And I'm human. I talk back. If you guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon. Drop it in the comment section. What we got?
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
Oh, this is easy. South Lake Church, Lake Oswego, Oregon, told me when we were dirt poor that they did away with the scholarships for children to go to summer camp because they bought a brand new, top of the line at the time, 72-inch screen and sound system. And that poor children now could wash cars or something if they wanted to go to summer camp, and then they doubled the price.
They bought the TV and surround sound for the church, or they bought it for themselves. Like, if they bought it for the church, it's more understandable if that's something that they needed in the church. But if you bought it personally and you took away those scholarships just so you could have that, then yeah, that's an issue. I personally feel like that's an issue.
And then they doubled the price.
Wow.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
It wasn't said to me. It was said to my 16-year-old daughter at her Christian youth group right after my boyfriend of 7 years had died suddenly from an aortic aneurysm. She had asked her pastor to pray for him and his family, his son, for me, and for our family. And they knew that we were atheists. Her pastor told her that his death was God's punishment for us being atheists. She left the church that day and has never been back and has become an atheist herself. And it just reinforced my atheism.
What is the most...
Like as a believer, as a child of God, your job is to share his love and his light. To say something like that, bro, is like really... It is just really out of line. It's really out of bounds for you to say something like that to anybody who just lost somebody, just lost a loved one. That's kind of sick to say, man. That's ridiculous.
And it just reinforced my atheism.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
Oh, let me go. Two preferences. I grew up as a Southern Baptist preacher's son. Then my parents moved on to be an independent fundamentalist. When I was 15, it was the dawn, like the big era of MySpace. Like, MySpace was like taking off. Well, their church friend, who was over twice my age, stalked me on MySpace and then printed off proof that I was gay to my parents. The literal message that he printed off was a status I put that I saw this really cute guy and I said, I really hope I get to hold a cute guy's hand one day in public. Literally, that's all it said. He showed the proof to my parents. My parents then confronted me and beat me bloody for hours with belts. Kicked me out homeless at 15. Then they forced me back by police. I guess because they could have gotten in trouble for me being underage and not going to school and for being homeless. Fast forward to 16 and a half. I was raped by an older guy. After about a week or so, I broke down and told my mom. She told my dad after church. They then beat me bloody for hours for bringing sin in their home. And my dad said me being raped was God's punishment for being,
What is the most unchristian?
Not only was that a Christian saying that to you, but that was your dad, your father. Like, how can you look at your son and beat him bloody? Like how? I just don't understand it. I can't. My brain can't fathom that kind of hate towards your son. no matter what he did. I don't know how you could have or harbor any type of hate. It's crazy to me, man.
My dad said me being raped was God's punishment for being,
That's
What's
so
the most
sick.
unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
So this one's kind of hard to talk about, really hard to talk about. When my daughter was killed, my dad told me it was because I hadn't been in church. I wasn't praising God enough. And that my bad car accident months prior was God's warning to me to do better in worshiping Him.
What is the most
F is wrong with these parents, man. F is wrong with them. Like, that's so stupid, bro. Like that's frustrating. That's ridiculous. She just lost her daughter, and you said it's because she hasn't been in church. Like, y'all are driving people away from church. They don't want to come and hear that type of stuff. Like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
To me to do better in worshiping Him.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
Hey, I'm alive. I'm still kind of on my mental health break, but I had one that was a little too good for this, so I had to share. I was talking to an old family friend, old coworker of my dad's, who I no longer speak to for obvious reasons. I was explaining that her in particular would end up paying less for universal health care than she does for private health insurance. Now, you'd think that the comment that I'm about to make is something along the lines of, well, I don't want to pay for somebody else's health care. That would make sense, right? This is worse. She looked at me straight up and said, I would rather pay more for private health insurance to ensure that other people don't have access to health care. Like, excuse me? This comment still disgusts me. The fact that she wanted to keep other people from getting health care just astounds me. I've had some bad comments, but that is the worst one, by far.
What is the most
These are the most unchristian-like things for real. When it says what is the most unchristian thing, these are the most unchristian. It's sad because I feel like these bad apples, you know what I'm saying? They ruin the bunches, and they give a group of Christians a stereotype of like Christians are judgmental, Christians are rude, Christians are mean, and it's like because of these bad experiences that people have had with these people who claim to be Christians, and it's like I just don't understand how people can say stuff like that, how people can feel that way. I don't know. I feel like Christian or not, as a human being, the fact that you could feel that way is sick.
I've had some bad comments, but that is the worst one, by far.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
Oh, that's easy. Trump 2020.
What is the most unchristian?
I needed a funny one because those other ones were making me mad. Those other ones were frustrating me. I needed that one. Thank you.
Oh, that's easy. Trump 2020.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
In this story, I am the Christian who said something very unchristian, and I would probably say it again. That's just how I am. I was going to a new gyno's office, and this story is in my TikTok history, so you can scroll through and see the older one. But this guy knocks on my window, and he's like, "Can I help you?" We make some small talk, and then he breaks up the small talk with, "Please don't kill your baby." So I didn't even think, and I can't remember specifically what I said, but it resonates with me that I was like, why wouldn't I? It's 2-for-1 baby killing day. You get a free vaginal exam when you kill your baby. And then he just like looked at me like, and he handed me back my purse. Again, you got to look at the older story, but he handed me back my purse. And, I haven't been bothered since I went there again. Which reminds me, mind your own vagina. Okay?
What is the most...
I do. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like that falls in this category because she's probably just fed up and frustrated with people telling her what to do with her body. Like she's probably like mind your own. Mind your own. I understand that one.
Which reminds me, mind your own vagina. Okay?
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
Oh, there are so many. Let's go with the most uncomfortable. I still can't decide if this is unchristian or right on the money. Growing up, I had a friend that we'll call A, that was a hardcore Christian, like super Southern Baptist. A was determined that she was going to save my soul, so she was always trying to get me to go to church with her. When I was about 15, she finally wore me down and I agreed to go to a lock-in. The church brought in a local Christian band to play for the youth service that night. The singer, who was then in his late 20s, early 30s, could apparently spot a heretic a mile away. After the service was over with, he decided to minister to me. He decided to wait until I walked outside by myself at night to do this. He then proceeded to tell a 15-year-old how much murder was in the Bible, and about how much schmex was in it, including between family members, and how that was so cool, so I should totally get saved. Hail Satan.
What is the most...
Yeah. Yeah, that's just weird. That's...
Totally get saved. Hail Satan.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you? I'll go first.
First, I want to acknowledge that this is definitely tame compared to what others have had said to them. However, over the summer, I walked into my church. I was wearing a mask because in addition to being immunodeficient, you know, the Bible tells us to love our neighbors, and I love my neighbors by not giving them COVID. And instead of being greeted with, "Good morning, welcome to church," I was greeted with, "Hey sister, Halloween's over, take off the mask."
What is the...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She said, "Hey sister, Halloween's over. Take off the mask." Like, you just gotta turn around and walk back out after that, bro. Like, I'm not taking out my mask. Like, I have this on for health reasons. So you just gotta turn around and walk out. That's crazy.
With, "Hey sister, Halloween's over, take off the mask."
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
I've got so many, but let's see if I can nail a few of them down, the most important ones. I was brought up Church of Christ. When I was 8-ish years old, a lady in my church told me I should be grateful my parents adopted me, and that otherwise I would have been aborted, and wouldn't that have been terrible? I was 8. I didn't know what abortion was. And for the record, no, because I wouldn't have known the goddamn difference. Church of Christ doesn't believe in dancing. I went to prom. I was told I was going to hell. And I also was told that since I didn't try to save my friends who were also at prom, that they were going to hell and that I was responsible for their souls. So that meant I was still going to hell, but even worse. And my favorite was at my grandmother's funeral when my deacons told me that my grandmother would never rest eternally until I went back to church.
What is the most...
Bro, some of y'all guys, some of these people that claim to be Christians are just weirdos. Are just honestly just like weirdos. Like, or your beliefs. I'm not going to say your beliefs are just very different from mine, I guess. Are very different from a lot of people's. So you're just unique. How should I say that? You're just unique. First of all, to tell someone they're going to hell, you don't make that decision. You don't know that. Like, that's not your position to say that to anyone. And for dancing, and then you're going to a worse hell because you're responsible for your friends going to prom. How does it get worse than hell in the first place? I don't understand that. And then how am I responsible for everybody? I don't understand that. And it's just crazy. These are just literally just wild. And then my grandma will not rest peacefully unless I return to church. What are you talking about?
My grandmother would never rest eternally until I went back to church.
So even if my grandma lived an excellent, a perfect life, we'll say near perfect, because a near perfect life, lived her life for God, she can't rest and go to heaven if I don't go back to church. Bro, y'all are making no sense.
Told me that my grandmother would never rest eternally until I went back to church.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
let's see. That my paranormal romance novels and my podcast that features paranormal, true crime, and all things that interest me are of the devil.
What is the most unchristian?
Now I don't mess with paranormal. I do watch movies, but I don't mess with the paranormal stuff. But like I said, you have no. It's not your call to tell anybody they're going.
That interest me are of the devil.
And that's of the devil.
What is the most unchristian thing a Christian has ever said to you?
One of the ultimate, greatest hits canned phrases that witnesses will use when you're going through a hard time and you're trying to explain why you're having a hard time is make it a matter of prayer. And it immediately just shifts all the blame between what you should be upset about sometimes or what should be being fixed or corrected, and it puts it on you. Like your struggles, no matter who you think might be causing them, come down to a lack of prayer. Like you create your own problems, even though you're accountable for the trouble you might get in for trying to fix them yourself.
I completely understand what he's saying. I don't think that's an unchristian like thing to say. I don't make it a matter of prayer. It's just like basically saying pray about it. Like try praying about it. And it might it's tough to explain. But I don't think it's putting the blame on yourself. Saying lack of prayer is the reason that you're in a certain situation. I think they're just trying to say if you start praying more, if you pray about it, then it can help the situation. I feel like, but I'm not in his shoes. I haven't been told that, so I don't. I wasn't personally told that from people that tell him that, so I don't know the context or what they meant behind it. So I'm just gonna have to trust him at his word. I'm just saying if I were to say something like that, it's not saying it's because of your lack of prayer that you're in this position. I'm just saying like try praying. Have you prayed about it? Try praying about it. But that's all we got for this one. If you guys got a favorite video you want to see me react to, you can subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media, Patreon, all up top. You know, subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you gotta do is hit the link, follow me, talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy Neal, out.